Hey everyone, it's Samantha Jansen, and today I have the privilege of talking to one of our authors, Iris. Now, Iris is the author of Climbing the World's Tallest Tree that she launched in March this year, so March 2020. And Iris and I have just before we kind of hit the record button and go, okay, we're going to have this conversation, I said to Iris, yeah, let's talk about the book. And she highlighted something really, really exciting. So, Iris, first and foremost, welcome to this conversation. I'm super excited and very grateful for your time. So thank you so much. And I want to ask you a few questions, but you did highlight something that I think is really important that we talk about. The book launched about 4 weeks ago or 3.5 weeks ago in New South Wales, right in this kind of very interesting time in our life. I don't want to give it too much limelight. I'm one of those people that go, I'm not going to give it limelight, but what I am going to highlight is it's a great opportunity for us as individuals, business owners, authors, speakers, writers, to really embrace the lessons that we can get out of this time. So once again, welcome to this conversation. Congratulations on your book, Climbing the World's Tallest Tree. First and foremost, tell me what inspired you to write this book.
Oh, well, I had to write the book. And I think anybody who is a writer who just has to put pen to paper and they just have to get it out, it becomes a duty. It becomes something that is, it was just what really on a practical level drove me. Yep. Was just, I've got to write this story. And I can't stop until it's done. And, and then what inspired the actual content of the story, is really my own personal exploration of what it is to be a woman, what it is to live freely, what it is to be myself in a world where there's a lot of gravity pulling down against the very natural forces of just being free to be me. Mm-hmm. And so it became, really evident when some big dreams guided me. And I've always been an epic dreamer.
Okay.
And it was the really big dreams that I have got to put this in story form. And it began really as short stories, Sam.
Okay.
Because I'm a bit of a reader that, I have to admit, I pick up books and I like to get something out of the pages almost immediately. And so I thought, well, why don't I write a book that I would like to read where, I can read a chapter, I can pick it up, I can get the nuance of something, and I can sit with it for a while, And so, yeah, it began as really short stories. And in a way, they are complete stories, each chapter unto themselves. Mm-hmm. And then, I pieced it all together. And
I love it. Now, I don't know whether you're going to say yes or no to this, but I'm going to ask you this. And was it because obviously our conversation started, a few months ago in terms of the publishing side, but how long did this actually take you, Iris, from where this was, okay, a little bits and pieces, the dreams coming through? There was obviously a lot of research, because I know when we spoke about various elements, there was things that you had to double check, around all of that. And we had to honor and respect certain communities. So all in all, how long was this actual journey in terms of climbing the world's tallest tree?
Well, I climbed the world's tallest tree in a dream when I was 18.
Okay.
And that's really how the book begins.
Yeah.
But, when I had my love of writing always present, and I was always writing, short stories, and I had a few things published, articles, and I wrote some plays, but I had quite an oppressed feeling inside of myself about my writing when I lived with a playwright.
Okay.
And there's a purpose to this, because that was I lived with him for 4 years, and he was a brilliant writer. And so I compared myself to him. Okay. And I kind of, and his play, and I became a director of his play and the producer of his play. And I helped him a little with tweaking the script.
Yeah.
And so my writing, I've made it secondary. And it was not until he left my life that I had an opportunity to be the administrator of a community Facebook page. And I have to say that it was Facebook that got me writing again. And it was just, I would do these posts
Yeah.
for 10,000 Amend. And when I had to do the posts, I had to do research. And the posts were about the environment. They were about people standing up for the environment.
Yeah.
And they were about, the Indigenous people of Australia needing support with protecting their sacred sites. And so, I kind of see now that writing these posts started to make to shape my skill again as a writer. And that was really in 2012.
Okay.
And then I journaled when I went on a very big journey.
Yeah.
And when I sat down to write the book,
Yeah.
it was 2016. So 2 years. 2 years.
Wow. That's an incredible time and space. But I think, as you were saying, something that we discussed a little bit offline was it's an interesting time for this book to launch right here and now.
I know, right?
And especially because when we did the Facebook Live just before, I mentioned, you really talk about a rapidly changing climate. And something that I have personally seen on social media, particularly, I should confess, I haven't watched a lot of the news because I'm not interested, other than the key parts that we need to follow as individuals in honoring the government's regulations. I'm not interested in the big hype that is becoming stories. So I suppose something that I've seen on social media that kind of got me a little bit emotional, but also made me really think about was, for the first time, Mother Earth has time to heal, because there are less cars on the road, less people running around like headless chickens. And for the first time, that saying that I have heard my entire childhood, stop and smell the roses, I have plenty of time to walk along my footpath and smell the roses. Like, there is no level of urgency for me to be anywhere. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm actually taking the environment in. Like, I'm actually going, wow, that tree is beautiful. Oh, this flower's blossoming. Like, I've never noticed these things. Yeah.
Well, we're incredibly privileged. We're privileged before this huge upheaval. Oops, sorry, Sam.
That's
right.
right.
No, are you there? Beg your pardon. We're incredibly privileged.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that first. And we were privileged before this big upheaval, during this big upheaval, and post this big upheaval.
Mm-hmm.
And something that is really important for me to take responsibility for that privilege, and to be somebody who uses that privileged position in the best way I can to help humanity. And so where we have got this opportunity to, as you say, stop and smell the roses,
Yeah.
what comes with that?
Mm.
What comes when the mind that's always on the go, that's normal operating mode, is to-do lists?
Yeah.
What happens when that does start to slow down and the mind goes more into a more present place? And it goes into, we call an alpha state. That alpha state is where a lot of creativity actually has a chance to emerge. And so actually one of the most dangerous things that was working against the environment were humans' extraordinary business, because we didn't have this chance to be empathetic creatures. We didn't have this chance to actually think about what we're connected to, and where does all that stream of connection run, and who is it that we are, who are we, and how big does this human family extend? And so one of the things that I have found fascinating to hear, and we have to be really careful for those of us who have been kind of, in a way, sensing something big is on its way for a long time, because if we're the I told you so, this was going to happen, that kind of goes back into the box, and it's really futile. It doesn't go anywhere. One of the things that I'm hearing, Sam, is people saying, wow, so many people are suffering, and they're suffering, it's a terrible, terrible time. Well, people have always been suffering. Animals, plants, trees have been suffering. You know, communities right here in Australia have been suffering. And a lot of us have been too busy and to stop and acknowledge that. And a lot of us are actually, and I really see this in the book, Sam, I have to speak about my own wake up. You know, it's actually really painful when you are an empathetic creature, a feeling creature, to actually dare acknowledge the pain and the suffering that is actually happening from the things that we are enjoying in our privileged world. Where did all these things come from? What I call it the wheel of harm. That's something that I coined. You know,
what was
the
it?
wheel of harm.
Okay. I'm writing this down, Iris, just so you know. I've got my you know, my pen and my little notebook going. So I'm taking vigorous notes. Every time you notice my eyes drop, I'm like, gotta take that note.
Thank you. That's such an honor. Thank you. You know, and I think this is also something that's so beautiful right now, is that I just want to speak to anybody who's watching this. Women and men who just haven't felt that they've had a voice for a long time. You know, that you know, there are many people who have been empathetic beings for a long time. Many people who have cared about the homeless and the, you know, the rights of animals, and, you know, the many people who are there in service orientated industries, and they're often the voiceless. They're often the ones who are just getting on doing it, and often the ones who are the loudest, that the media have been giving the most attention to. You know, are the celebrities and the sports people. I just lost you for a second. The celebrities, the sports people, you know, the famous, the rich. And I think that something had to give. And so I just wanted to reach out, that even though I have this opportunity right now, and I'm so lucky to be speaking to you, I honor everybody who is alongside me, you know? Everybody, all the activists, all the conservationists, all the farmers, the land carers, the elders. Oh my God, the elders who haven't been listened to.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that. And just want to acknowledge you, Iris, for mentioning that. And I think highlighting the importance for us in this time and place. We need to acknowledge that, and we need to start actively being present and listening, because often with so many demands, titles, jobs, careers, speaker profiles, authors, whatever titles, these are all titles. And at the end of it, we all want to be heard. We all want to be loved. We all want to be supported. For me, who loves cuddles, I'm missing the cuddling factor. I'm like, oh, I love a cuddle. Well, social distancing, I can't cuddle. But I think from all those 4 components, when we're out of this on the other side, and that's going to be really soon, we're going to have the opportunity to practice gratitude and acknowledge those momentary 5-10 second cuddles, and those moments where we can tap somebody on the shoulder or shake somebody's hand a lot more. And the fact that we're going to be able to stand side by side, face by face, and interact, I personally am going, wow, I have had so many privileges to have those moments. And now that I don't, and I'm staying home, I'm like, yeah, I'm putting my hand up. I miss that. So I'm going to be stepping in with a lot more gratitude of going, wow, I'm privileged to be able to be on the receiving end of this, because I have missed it. I genuinely have. And unless we're acknowledging and we're coming from a place of gratitude, I think, yeah, we're going to struggle to move forward from this, because I know to a lot of people, yes, they're challenged. I acknowledge that. What are we learning through the challenge? Because I'm one of those people that always say there's always something incredible that we can learn from a challenging time. And globally, as human beings, regardless of age, race, nationality, languages spoken, our core needs are the same. We want to be loved, we want to be heard, and we want to be respected.
Absolutely. And the other truism that is kind of is arisen in my mind listening to you speak, Sam, and thank you for the inspiration. I always feel so inspired when I speak to you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It helps to keep the mind positive, because that's what has to, that's one of the best protections is to positivity. And one thing also that really I hope people will learn or remember or acknowledge inside themselves that they've already carried, that when they read my book, is that we're all equal. And not just an idea that we're all equal, but an absolute existence of that knowing, that I look through my eyes and I see you as equal. I speak with my mouth and I bring my words to equality. I treat you with the respect that you deserve, whoever you are. And I refuse to buy into anything more, any idea that I am less than or I am better than. And so this virus has this leveling out of, there is no discrimination here. There is no race here. There is no borders. There's no religion. This is just like every single thing. It is crossing all of those boundaries and reminding us, if we do choose, yes, to be grateful, absolutely, to remember, wow, the best things in life are free. And look at this beautiful hug. I'm so grateful now I can hug you again. And I'm so grateful I can, go out to the beach without just sitting down. I have to now be exercising.
I love that, right? Isn't it? It's amazing. Like, I keep going to the park across, because it's literally 1 minute across the road from me. And I'm like, yeah, there's no, you got to keep moving, which is great. But I think in this time and space, I personally as an individual, as Samantha, regardless of the many hats and things I wear and have to do, I have found a new appreciation to life. I genuinely have. I'm like, for the first time in 7.5 years of running a business, I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. I don't have to jump on a plane. I don't have to sit in transit. It's not driving, because I'm on the road. I'm at home. And all those jobs that I wanted to do, especially because I'm a mom with 2 young children, I have done so much coloring and so many jigsaws and so many things that I have put off. I go, you know what? I'm going to look back when they're teenagers and go, remember that time when we did this? So I feel like this has given me an opportunity to create new memories and do things that I've always kind of put to the side.
Definitely.
I'm looking at it as, you know what? Finally, I've got the time and I've got nowhere to be other than being really present right here, right now, and embracing that and creating a memory. And with all these conversations, you and I chatting right now, I think I'm going to look back and go, remember that time when Iris and I had this conversation about when her book came out? And then, we're going to look back on this, because this is what's going to keep us connected. Yes,
Absolutely.
we can't hug each other. We're not face to face, but thank goodness for technology. Thank goodness that we are able to do this, because it's keeping you and me in conversation. And it's essentially, as much as I'm talking to you, this is feeding a need of mine, the need for conversation. So I'm counting my blessings.
So good. I was speaking to my stepdaughter and her fiance this morning, and I said, my mom was a baby during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And her father, was a returned soldier, and he was very troubled and sick and unwell. And so my grandmother, her mother, was the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And there was really no welfare.
Yeah.
And my mom's first bed was a drawer.
Wow.
And my grandmother had to make clothes for her children from the curtains, a little bit like a la Sound of Music style, and everybody had to work together, and this remembering time, I speak very highly of me, the most privileged meetings that I have, that I talk of in my book, with Uncle Bob Randall, who was an Uluru custodian, an Angangu elder. And also I speak of the Mamo of Colombia. And if anyone is watching this and you have an opportunity to explore now that you're at home more and you have time to really look maybe at your philosophies and your spirituality, I would suggest to look at the Kogi tribe up in the jungles of Colombia. And I was just so lucky, Sam, where I had, I believe, a powerful invocation in a moment where I was quiet and I was alone, and I saw on YouTube these Colombians, and I could not believe that men and women were still living in an unbroken line with their powerful connection to Mother Earth. They were living completely and are living within the forces of nature. They have their elders who listen to the earth, and the earth tells them what's happening and guides them. And so in this one powerful moment, I longed to meet them. I went, I want to hear the voice of the mother too, because something in me, very old, remembered that I could understand the voice of the earth. I could understand the voice of water. I could understand the voice of the rocks and of the trees and of the birds and of the wind, that it was in me. And I would have moments where I would remember and the language would become very clear. And then there'd be moments in my busyness and my single motherhood and trying to provide as well and keeping on top of fear, where I would forget the earth whispering to me. And so I asked in a very powerful prayer to meet these people. I didn't know how, I didn't know when. They never came off their mountain in Colombia. And then in a series of unbelievable events, they came off the mountain because they were so concerned about what's happening to the planet. They began to come and be welcomed into big spiritual circles, into big conservation circles, into some government, United Nations meetings, where they were speaking about the constitutional rights of the earth, that she has rights, and that we need to actually speak up for the rights of the earth. And so one of the things that I bring back here to this moment is that the Mamo spoke. And when I heard him speak, he said, we need to ask ourselves, are we acting like humans? What it is to be a human. You know, and I really found myself, even as a child, with a lot of the unnatural ways in which I flew across the country in cars, and I went to school in a classroom. I slept inside a room I never felt comfortable with. There were a lot of things that were really kind of jarring to my own naturalness the whole time. Now, luckily, I had enough of that in me to stay human. That I think, you know, those real questions of what does a human do? Well, human is an incredibly empathetic creature. You know, and a human has got such powerful capacity to restore and to heal and to nurture. And we humans are actually all brothers and all sisters.
I love that. I love that. I love it.
That's so exciting to remember that.
Absolutely.
We're all in it together.
We are, definitely we are. Iris, thank you so much for your time today. I am so very grateful. Thank you. So grateful. Looking forward to hearing more about what you're doing virtually now that, you know, you've done the official launch in New South Wales. You've got some road shows that I think you're going to take online as a result of where we're at. But then once we're back out of this and we're ready to party, you're going to hit the road between Queensland and New South Wales, different cities, different locations, lots of road shows happening, and a lot of people are going to be able to get their hands on a personally signed copy of the book if they come to one of the live events, or they can purchase a copy from you that you'll sign and dispatch, which is awesome.
That's right.
That's it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again. Really appreciate it. Have an awesome day, Iris, and I will talk to you soon.
Bye, Sam. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.